Hey everybody, Bill here. Just wanted to do a quick video and show you how to add these tabs onto some pieces that you're trying to cut out with the laser. Um, some of you already know how to do this, but there are some people who may not necessarily know how, and I just kind of wanted to show how I do it in case if you have a design like this and you want to make some sort of 3D piece with it like I have. This will kind of get you somewhat on the right path here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one out to the side here. All right. So let's say none of this is grouped together. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is what I want to laser, and I want to cut it out and be able to, put it in a hole, kind of like a puzzle piece, to where it's standing upright. So what I need to do first is I need to select everything and make sure it's grouped. So I'm going to hit Control G here in LightBurn to group it. Now it's all together. You see how the lines changed here? All right, now I'm going to hit the outline tool right over here, and I'm going to go outwards. And this one, it's, I think that's a little too fat, so I'm going to decrease it. That looks pretty good to me. It's all going to be based on your preference, so just do whatever you want, and then I'm going to click OK. Alright, now you see we have our outline here. Sometimes whenever you do that, you'll notice, let me ungroup this again real quick, you'll notice that it'll put some other spots in it whenever you create the offset like this. It may have, create some additional offsets within your workpiece. To get rid of all those offsets without having to go through and click on each and every single individual one, leave them all highlighted, hold Control, and select just the piece you don't want to delete, and then you hit the backspace or delete key, and it'll get rid of everything inside of the offset that you had just created. Now, I'm going to bring those back because obviously that was not created by the offset, and we want to keep those. Okay. So here's our outline that we're actually going to cut the piece out with. I'm going to make it a different color first real quick so I don't get it confused. Okay, so now I need to create the tab down here. This is how I do it. There may be an easier way. If there is, I don't know it, but this is the method that I use that works for me, okay? So I know that my material is 1/8 inch thick, so that's what we're going to stick with. I'm going to select a box. I'm just going to draw one real quick because we're going to adjust the size of it. Now, when you're, if you're doing left to right on your tabs, like this piece over here, that's left to right, you want your height, the up, top to bottom, to be the same as your thickness of your material. So 1/8 inch is 0.125. So that's how tall I'm going to make it. Now on width, it doesn't really matter. I usually go with 1/4 inch, just personal preference. Again, you can make it whatever you want. So I'm going to make it 0.25 for 1/4 inch. And then we're going to put it over here. It doesn't really matter where you put it. I try to stay in the center if I can. And then just depending on the piece that I'm working with, I may have to offset a little bit. But and then we're going to try to go with the most bottom part of this outline, which is looks like going to be here. And you see how that snapped there? We want it to snap right to that line like that. Okay, now we need to make sure that these corners on this box are within the boundary of the outer line. So we're going to drag this up. Okay, and the reason why we do that is we're still leaving 1/8 of an inch between the bottom part of this and here, the bottom part of this box. So even though there's a little extra over here, it doesn't really matter. It's so minute that it won't really be that noticeable whenever you go to make it. Now, if you click and drag up to the up and to the left, the lines that you're selecting do not have to be entirely in the box. Now, if you click and drag to the right and down, they do have to be within the entire box, and if it's not, you'll see it doesn't highlight. But anyway, all right, so we got the two pieces highlighted. Now I'm just going to hit Control W to weld it, and there we go. We have our piece with a tab that we can now stick in the hole over here. Whichever hole that it coordinates with. All right, so with the holes, what I do to try to keep somewhat of a snug fit so that way, you know, it's not super loose, is I decrease the size of it a little bit. So our material's an 1/8 inch thick. I made the tab over on that piece a 1/4 inch wide. So we need to adjust our box based on that. So on my particular laser with the focus point that I use, the kerf, you know, with the laser kerf, which is the cutting width of the beam, or, you know, the cutting width of whatever source you're using to cut the material with, that's the kerf. My particular machine and the way I have it set up, usually 12 thousandths is a good number. So I take, you know, 1/4 of an inch, 0.25 minus 0.012 for 12 thousandths. And then you know, I put it in here. Sometimes I'll do a little bit less, sometimes I'll do a little bit more. And then the same for the up and down. I'll take 12 thousandths from 0.125, so 0.125 minus 0.012, and that'll give me the number that I need to type in here. Again, I may add 1 or 2 thousandths to it, or subtract one or two more thousandths, just depending on you know, how it's fitting at that time, because I don't always get the same exact focus depth or point that, you know, when I set up my machine, and it's because I manually focus it. And then that's it. So once that's done, you know, I get everything set up how I want it, and then drop these pieces right in the holes, and it's good to go. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and let me know, and I'll do my best to try to answer them for you. Other than that, have fun lasering. Have a good day.